Hello, welcome to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. Today, it is April 12th, 2025, and today is going to be the pink moon. Last year, we had a blue moon in August, and there was a rainbow that accompanied it. I really enjoy keeping up with the Earth's phenomenon, naturally occurring events. So, when I know something is coming, I am a bit excited about it. So, yeah. For this upload, we will be reading 2 Samuel chapter 5. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Also in time past, when Saul was king over us, thou wast he that leadest out and broughtest in Israel. And the Lord said to thee, Thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be a captain over Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord. And they anointed David king over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem, he reigned 30 and 3 years over all Israel and Judah. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, Except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, the same is the city of David. And David said on that day, Whosoever getteth up to the gutter, and smiteth the Jebusites, and the lame, and the blind that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Wherefore they said, The blind and the lame shall not come into the house. So David dwelt in the fort, and called it the city of David. And David built round about from Milo and inward. And David went on and grew great, and the Lord God of hosts was with him. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messages to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built David an house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron. And there were yet sons and daughters born to David. And these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shemua, and Shobab, and Nathan, and Solomon. Ibhar also, and Elishua, and Napheg, and Japhia, and Elishama, and Elida, and Aphelet. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed King David over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David. And David heard of it, and went down to the hold. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into mine hand? And the Lord said unto David, Go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines unto thine hand. And David came to Baal-perazim, and David smote them there, and said, The Lord hath spoken forth upon mine enemies before me, as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal-perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men burned them. And the Philistines came up yet again, and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, Thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry trees. And let it be, when thou hearest the sound of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then thou shalt bestir thyself, for then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until thou come to Gazer. In the previous chapter, 2 Samuel 4, two of Saul's employees behead King Ishbosheth as he is sleeping. They bring his head to David, expecting a reward. Instead, David has them killed. David buries Ishbosheth's head with Abner. This chapter, 2 Samuel 5, Israel anoints David as king. He establishes himself and gains power in a territory he is not welcome in. The Philistines hear David has been anointed king and attacks twice. David closely follows God's instructions and defeats the Philistines both times. Summarizing 2 Samuel 5. In this chapter, David is officially anointed king over all of Israel. The importance of this is that it's taken 19 chapters to fulfill the prophecy or the command, the request. I don't know what to say about how to word that. But in 1 Samuel 16, David is anointed by Samuel to be the next king of Israel. So Samuel was part of the old style of leadership. In the book of Judges, God began appointing leaders and calling them judges. And so through the book of Judges, that's what God was calling the leaders. And when we get to 1 Samuel, Eli was the judge, prophet, priest. When he died, Samuel took over. And in 1 Samuel 8, Israel demanded a king. So they didn't want God's style of leadership anymore. That's the importance of now having a king. So Saul was the king. In 1 Samuel 15, he disobeyed God in such a way that God didn't want him to be king anymore. So that's why David was anointed. But the significance is this is 19 chapters later that he's finally becoming king. So in chapter 2, he was, Judah agreed to have him be king over them. But when David, as an act of goodwill, notified the rest of Israel, Abner, who was Saul's advisor, war hero, war captain, Abner used his political connections to get Israel to agree that Ishbosheth, Saul's remaining son, should be king. So Israel agreed. You have David ruling Judah and Ishbosheth ruling the rest of Israel. Abner is dead. Ishbosheth is dead. And now David is king. So in verses 1 through 5, the people of Israel gather to remind David that he is a notable leader and he should be a captain over Israel. Verse 4 lets us know that David was 30 and he reigned for 40 years. Verse 5 gives us a little bit more detail. In Judah, he ruled for 7 years, 6 months. And then in Jerusalem, he ruled 3 years, 30 and 3 years over all of Israel and Judah included. So David went to Jerusalem and he was not welcome in this city. They told him, even the blind and the lame will ward you off. Even our disabled will make sure that you can't get in here. Okay? So in verse 7, David took the stronghold, which is the fort military structure. And then he called it the city of David. It became the city of David. So verse 8, I did not quite understand that. So anyone who conquers the Jebusites will have to use the water shaft. So it's looking like David is giving them a command. If you're going to reach these people that are saying, I can't get into this territory, they're going to have to use this water tunnel. Didn't quite understand verse 8. We get to verse 9 through 12. David dwelt in the fort. He called it the city of David. He built and gained power there. And we see that this other king sent gifts to him to help build him a house. So David perceived the Lord established him king, and David took more concubines and women from the area. Verse 13 through 16. These are the names of the children that David had. So in chapter 3, verse 5, he had 6 kids. In this chapter, he had 11 children. So right now, David has 17 children. Verses 17 through 21. The Philistines hear that David is king. They come to attack him. And verse 19, David asks God if he should battle with them and will he be successful. God approves, and then David is successful. It says that the Philistines left their images behind, their idols, their images. And this word images has come up so many times as something that Israel is supposed to reject. And so I just want to look at what the word image means again, a visual representation. So again, the Philistines are a pagan group of people. These people don't honor the God that Israel honors. So their image or their visual representation, this is a different culture. So just keep that in mind when we see the word image. A mental picture, a mental conception, an idea, an exact likeness, a tangible representation. Okay? David burned them. We get to verses 22 through 25. The Philistines organize to attack again. David asks God for instructions, and this time God tells David to circle behind them. Fetch a compass. So, compass means to circle, which I was shocked to see that. I mean, I know it had to be a verb and not the noun because of how it's used. It has to be a verb, but just I was just shocked to know that that's what it meant. Encompass. Uh, I saw that through synonyms. Hmm. Okay, well, it says to devise or bring about, obtain, comprehend. Maybe I saw it on this when I. As you see how these other verses say circle behind, circle behind them, circle around them. Okay. And the other thing, the mulberry trees. And I thought that was interesting too. Around the mulberry trees, and I know there's like a nursery rhyme. Here we go around the mulberry bush. So circling a mulberry tree, circling a mulberry plant comes from the Bible, just like the talking donkey. Okay, so David listened to God both times and defeated the Philistines. So that is what we have for 2 Samuel 5.